Okay, guys, we are live. Welcome to the China Magic live from China. Hi, Lyden. Hi, Dan. Hi, Kian. So excited.
Hey, how's it going?
Today.
Say hi, everybody.
Hey!
So good
There
to
we
see
go.
you.
Yeah, great to see everyone there live. So Kian and Lyden, how's it going out there? How's China Magic 10, our 10th trip in China, visiting the Canton Fair? How's that been, guys?
Yeah, it's been incredible. Let's just go next door so everybody can continue talking without us, so you can hear us properly. So yeah, listen, it's been incredible. We've had a great group this time. We're getting some amazing wins. Canton Fair itself, busy as always. But yeah, just never ceases to amaze me the stuff we're gonna achieve whilst being on the ground over here.
So you've done phase 2, you've done factory visits, you're into phase 3. Yeah, Kian, I'm keen to hear kind of like your perspective on kind of what the factories are saying, what the suppliers are saying, what sellers are finding on the ground. We're in a bit more of a constrained market right now. So yeah, I'd love to get your perspective on it, man.
Yeah, well, it's been really good for people out here because the suppliers are really, really hungry for business. So one of the main things I've noticed is that in previous Canton fairs, when you're talking about quantities, sometimes the MOQ is very, very high, but now they're much more willing to acquire a customer at a lower MOQ. So just having conversations on the ground, they're now willing to accept like 100 pieces or 300 pieces for a trial order to just help you test your product in your market. Whereas before, sometimes it would be like 1,000 pieces or 3,000 pieces. So suppliers are much more willing to work with us, which is great. And the people here on the ground are really seeing the benefits of that. And one of my favorite things about the new Canton Fair is that they have a new Area D, which they were building a year ago, opened 6 months ago. But in this new Area D, they've built a new Canton Fair Awards Hall, which is massive, huge. And they have all the innovative new products from phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, and they have them all on display here with all the product features and benefits, with the supplier's contact information, and you can just go in and try the product. And you might see a really cool new product for your category, but there's also a lot of innovations which have been given awards that you could take that innovation and apply it to your category as well. So not only can we see the cool new suppliers, new products, and discuss all that, but we can go and see all the innovations and new awards as well in a very, very clear and concise way.
Yeah, it's really cool to see those that award hall as well. And something else that comes from that is it gives us the confidence as product developers. If you go into that hall, you can see certain designs, and whilst they're very innovative and we can take inspiration from them, they're not out of this world and out of the grasp of people like us and the guys in the room and these Amazon sellers. And it just makes it all achievable. So some of these products that win designs, some of the guys were saying, I have something similar to that, and I think mine's better. So it's just really, really inspiring and confidence building to say we're certainly ahead of our game when it comes to the product development.
Yeah, nice. And look, we're gonna be jumping into hearing some results in a second and learning how those results were achieved, which is the most important for everyone listening into this. But Kian, you mentioned that sellers are more willing to take lower entry points to build relationships and acquire new clients. How are kind of factory owners and suppliers in general, what's their sentiment towards kind of becoming partners and working on pricing and terms and everything, the whole reason why we go to China, right? Like what's their kind of viewpoints towards that?
Yeah, it's interesting. They're just very, very hungry for business, right? And they're willing to do whatever it takes if it means like better pricing or helping you develop the products as well. And that's something which is a big benefit from being on the ground here, because a lot of factories that we work with actually have like in-house design capabilities. And it can be quite common for maybe for you, for your brand, to hire a product designer. And while that might have advantages, sometimes it can be tough because a product designer might make some really complicated drawings that when a factory receives it, they're like, actually, this is very complicated to produce, or the mold cost is very, very high. But here you find a lot of factories which have designers in-house, so they'll actually help you bring your new product idea to market with innovation, right? And another thing as well is that like Chinese suppliers are very, very smart, right? And they know how to get business. And they know one of the things affecting a lot of US buyers is the current tariffs right now and potential tariffs that might happen in the future. So I was talking to a supplier today that they're a Chinese company with a factory in China, but they also have a factory in Haiti, they have a factory in Egypt, and they have a factory in Ghana. And this was for clothing. And it's 30% import duty from China to the USA for clothing, but from Egypt and from Ghana is 0%, and they've already set up their production line. They're already putting products through there. They're already sending in the raw materials from China to those factories. So you can still massively benefit from working with Chinese factories that you find here, but get production around the world, which you wouldn't be able to access those factories online, but you can find them here in real time, build up real relationships with them, and really benefit your business moving forward for what might happen in the future.
Yeah, for sure. So, guys, I think we want to jump in and actually hear some of the live results and sort of the approaches and the strategies and the tactics and the tips for how those results were achieved. So, if you want to kind of jump into the room there, I'll mute you out for a second and we'll bring you back on in 30 seconds.
Yeah, what we is into here so that you can hear them. Do you want to get them? And while we're doing that, I'll speak to one example that was Jeremy. He's launching his brand on the 1st of December, and he was innovating his products and working with them over the last 6 months. He was able to come in here, and he was only able to get it for 3 days. He was able to see his current factory in Ningbo, go and have a look around, develop the product, get it perfect, get a bit of a reduction on price, talk about 90-day terms on the second order, which is great. But then when he came back to the fair, he had 4 products. One of them was a towel that we got the cogs reduced from $5 to $2.50. Wow. One of them was a bag that was reduced from $23 to $8.50. And then the innovative product, which I can't share with you, was reduced from $15.80 to $12. And then he had a pair of shorts as well, which was reduced by $1. So whilst he doesn't have the history of sales, what he sort of said to me when he left this morning was that it's anywhere between $100,000 and $200,000 that he saved next year just by coming here on the ground. And he's been trawling the websites, Alibaba and some of these other ones, to try and work with various different suppliers and get different pricing. But until he got here, he didn't realize the power of face-to-face at the fair. There's a lot of factories that just aren't online and you can't access them online, and you have to be here at Canton Fair in person to find them. And I sort of explained that to him, but he didn't realize the power of it. So he saved $100,000 to $200,000 in his words. And I'm sure we'll check in with him when his brand launches 1st of December and see how things are going.
Yeah, amazing. And listen, for those people just joining us right now on the live, we're here from China Magic, live from China at the Canton Fair. So Athena, China Magic, it's into its 10th trip now. It's been running for what, 7 years? And for anyone that wants to kind of learn a bit more about what we're doing here, go to ChinaMagicTrip.com. But it's 12 days. Phase 2 and 3 of the Canton Fair, the largest sourcing fair in the world. 12 nights of masterminding, factory visits. Athena, in your words, kind of what's China Magic?
So as an Amazon seller or as a brand owner, we know that it's all in the product, right? Being able to go physically in person and be able to do what we were just talking about in terms of the negotiation, in terms of being able to develop products is fantastic. But there is so much to know about it. And that was the thing that was shocking for me when I went there on the first trip, when China Magic hadn't begun and we didn't have people like Lyden, like Matt, like Kian actually helping us. And I think one of the most powerful things about being in China with these guys is that you're fast forwarding your knowledge. What would normally take you years and years of going to the fair, meeting with suppliers, not getting it right, coming back, doing it again, you're fast forwarding your knowledge, what would take a decade in such a short time just by being around these people. And then every night when you're masterminding, you're able to connect and learn and grow and share resources in a way that you just would never be able to do that on your own. So I think really the magic of China Magic is in the people, it's in the mentorship, and it's in the massive, game-changing wins that actually allow you to scale to a level you'd never be able to do so in any other way.
Yeah, for sure. So I see Matt Phipps there, who's been out there with our own product team, our own sourcing team. Matt, how's the trip been, man?
Yeah, it's been really good. The product team have been kind of doing their thing and getting us good prices for Titan. But yeah, it's been mostly with the members this week. It's just been so rewarding to be a mentor here and supporting guys, not only with the sourcing side, but because Luke and I are here, we've been helping them validate new product ideas using the Titan way, and helping them find new profitable ideas, list of 10 or 20 products that they can then go to the fair, knock on the door of the booths and source right here and then, bring home a sample and just get going so much quicker. So that speed to market has been fantastic as well.
So what's Matt, what would you say is the most notable result that you've seen this week so far? Maybe for a newer seller, I think the advantage is obvious, right? But for a larger seller that's maybe been in the game a while, doing a few $1 million, kind of what have you seen the biggest wins have been this week?
Well, I mean, you didn't know that she was stood next to me, but
Oh,
I've got,
there we go.
the lovely Yvonne with us from my own Titan 7 group. Fantastic Yvonne from Germany, who not only did she have good wins on the business side, but she brought her husband and her almost two-year-old with her as well.
Oh,
So
wow.
this week we've had the pleasure of a little one, and it's been fantastic, and they've had a great time. The rooms in the hotel have got clouds and slides coming from the bed for the little one. So it's been a real treat for the family as well. So it's been a good family affair. But on the business side, Yvonne, do you want to share what you were able to do?
Yes, I found several new potential suppliers, and yeah, I got quotes, I got samples sent to the hotel, and could check directly how the quality is. And yeah, so with my new price, I will be able to save more than 20% on my costs, and this will. Yeah, it will save I will save $50,000 per year with that result. Yes.
That's amazing. So $50,000 more margin to invest in customer acquisition, new product expansion. And Yvonne, how much revenue are you currently generating on Amazon? Is it? I know you're in Titan 7, so you're into the 7 figures. But what's your kind of trailing 12 months?
So I'm about around 3 million euros per year at the moment. Yeah.
Amazing. And that one trip you've resourced a SKU or negotiated a cheaper price, and that's going to generate 50 grand for the next year, right?
Yeah, only on my main product. Yeah.
And what, Matt, what was the approach there? So how did yourself and Yvonne kind of achieve that?
So yeah, things have moved on at Canton since years ago when we started coming. There's now a Canton Fair app on the phone, and you can type in the product you're looking for, and it'll give you the booth number, the location. Oh, cool. So what Yvonne could do was pinpoint where the booths were, where she could find her suppliers. She mostly did it on her own. She didn't need my help because she's awesome. But I was able to come with her and see her in action. And really the fun part was just finding this. It was a small booth, not a big flashy booth, just a small booth that makes her product. And then you just go in and chat to them, and to watch her jaw drop when she realizes the savings she's making over what she's currently paying from not being in China is just, just makes the trip worthwhile. And we've seen that like 6 or 7 times this week. But for Yvonne, it's so rewarding to save that money. We tried to help her before coming to China, and we couldn't get that price down. But yeah, coming here, she found 2 or 3 suppliers who now she can work with for samples, bring them home with her. She's already got samples now. And can start the process straight away. So it's not just a saving, but she's also saved herself a month of back and forth with postage and samples and communication, and she can go back and see these guys really quickly.
Amazing. Yeah, amazing. Thank you, Yvonne, for coming on and sharing. Matt, who else have we got there to say hello to?
Who else we got? Yeah, I'll take back over to bring the main man Brady over. He's been a monster, traveling all the way over China, going to various different factories. So how have you found that?
Yes, been very busy. So been visiting all our suppliers and trying to do what we can to negotiate. And it didn't all come to plan. So, but we're able to come to the fair today, or been up the fair. So Lyden joined us, and we're able to negotiate some deals which I couldn't negotiate by myself up in Shandong. So we'll be able to get payment terms up to 90 days. And yeah, which is basically the whole reason we came over for this trip. Like, that's just opened our business up. We were able to launch 2 new products, which should bring in 100,000 in net revenue next financial year, which is just, yeah, that's like launching our business to where we need it to be. So it was what all this trip was about for us. So, and
mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished. Yeah.
I love that. Brady, can you describe to me what happened when you went to the factories on your own, and then what happened when you went in with Lyden?
Well, the fact it was like, obviously the meeting with them and everything up at the factories was great, but with the language barrier and being able to talk to them and really break it down in detail at the factory, was just, they just weren't understanding, or you just couldn't really get it across the board. But Lyden with his team and
we took Sophia, who's one of my translators, and she was to help us get our point across. And I sort of came in and played bad cop a little bit. So Brady was able to say, look, this is a partner in my business, and whilst it was great that you offered me a small amount of days after shipping for the payment terms, he's not happy with it. So he's the bad cop, and we sort of did a good cop, bad cop routine, which worked so well, and got 60 days straight off the bat. they'll increase to 70 and potentially to 90 with a small increase in COGS. So we've got the 90 days that Brady was looking for. And yeah, as you said, 100K in revenue without any loans, which are very, very costly, or any external investment of his own money. We're able to grow that business next year. So yeah, we're excited about that result at the fair today.
Yeah,
Awesome, Brady. Yeah,
and
appreciate it.
then, and then this afternoon, I met up with Kian, and we a product which came out flew all over last year to source by myself. One of the products I couldn't find a supplier to make that product at all. Which I went to so many suppliers for this product, and he just took me straight to one that he thought could do it, and they can do it on the spot. They make another competitor's one, which they're great. We know the quality of that one. So that was just So the day for us has just been amazing. So
awesome, man. Well done.
Love it.
Yeah, thanks for sharing, Brady. So, Lyden,
good.
as if you kind of think about the group and you were going to kind of rapid fire, what would you say the most tangible results have been in cash flow, new product, P&L improvements, cost savings, and then maybe share a couple of tips on the approach of how these things are being achieved for everyone listening in?
Yeah, so my favorite subject is negotiating and trying to get those payment terms, because we know in our businesses the impact of it. So we had some amazing terms, and people are coming back, and a little bit like Kian was saying earlier, that they're much more open to payment terms, particularly here in person, when we come here in person. But over the last couple of fairs, it seems to have got a little bit easier to try and achieve those terms. And Brady was trying to get his terms the last 3 years he was working with that factory, and he managed to get a little bit of the way there in person at the factory, but until we sort of went in today, we couldn't get them. But it's all about building the relationship with a supplier, spending some face-to-face time with them, but also showing why they should work with you, why they should trust you. And then talking about the future of the relationship and the future of the brand. So it's all about using the leverage. So what Brady did earlier was say, look, we ordered 170K, I think it was, of product last year. We want to order 320K, but unless you give us terms, we can't give you that money. So just leveraging the future of what that looks like, it's got to be a win-win situation. We're not just asking for something, we're giving you something in return, and that's revenue and profit for your business. So it's very much building that long-term vision, the partnership, rather than just a transactional approach to it, and talking about the future.
Amazing. And how are the results for our brands, Lyden? How have the team of Rachel and Lois and the team got on across our portfolio?
Yeah, our brands has gone very well. So we had 6 of the guys, and Sophia's still here, so she's working on some of the products tomorrow. So we've managed to develop quite a lot of products. I'm not sure what the final count was, but maybe 60 or 70 new products that we can launch. And then obviously just continue to negotiate those terms. I've jumped in a few of those meetings with them, just to talk about the extra terms and see if I can get a little bit of leverage on them. But as you know, the team are very well trained and they're really good at that stuff. So we've got some great terms, we've got some great pricing. And yeah, the team are very good, and they've been off and doing their thing, while I've managed to spend a lot of time with our attendees here and really helping those guys out.
Amazing. Well, if there's anyone else there that wants to quickly rapid fire their result, let's just do results. Let's just do like a rapid fire of results, and I'd love to hear the stories.
Luke, so Ron Israel is actually seeing another factory tonight, so he wasn't able to be here in person, but he's managed to smash it. So I'm going to hand over to someone who looks a little bit like Ron Israel, which is Luke.
Hey, Luke.
You're all right, guys.
Yeah, good. So tell me, Luke, what results have been got, man?
Yeah, like Lyden said, he's away at the moment. So yeah, we had to grab his wins from him. But so one was 6,000 unit product that does $20 a month, $20 in revenue per unit, and he got that for $135. So if he sells that for $20 and he's got it for $135, the ratio on that's pretty
massive,
awesome, right? So those are the sort of margins you want to be working with. And then using Lyden's obviously supply negotiation strategies, he secured 80% delayed payment terms on a 30 grand order, reduced portfolio COGS by 30%, saving 60K annually. So cut main product cost from $3 to $1.90, so nearly like a 50% reduction, right? So
yeah, it's huge,
pretty
man.
amazing.
That adds up, right?
Yeah, he's fantastic, and he can talk, right? So obviously he was good at getting his negotiations done.
Amazing. Luke, what else have you seen there, man? Like in terms of Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Sorry.
I thought we said quick fire. Sorry.
Sorry, buddy. Go.
Yeah, no, go on. Quick rundown, Luke. What's your perception on kind of where China's at, where suppliers are at, their sentiments towards us as buyers? Kind of how's that feeling?
Yeah, like Lyden said, I mean, they're open. They're a lot more open now than they've been sort of 3 or 4 years ago to negotiating those prices and those terms. I think just because, you know, business is tough and the best thing you can do is get into good relationships with good sellers, and that's what they're looking for. So we're here, we're eager to do business with them, and it makes sense. So yeah, being here in person is a million times better than being on a Zoom call or a phone call. So it just doesn't have the same impact. So yeah, that's the biggest difference. Just being here makes the difference, right?
Love
for sure,
that.
man.
Go, Luke, go. Hey, Lyden. All right, more rapid fire. Rapid fire. Tell us.
Okay,
more
cool.
what's
So
like.
I'm going to hand over to our PVC guru here, Mr. Andrew Coates, to talk a little bit about what he's been up to.
Hey
Hey,
guys,
Andrew. Hey, man.
Hey, Andrew.
how are you? So
Yeah,
as
good.
you know, it's our first trip here for China Magic 10 for me. It's amazing. It's been a really good experience, and it's just been great to see some of the students getting some huge wins, as you've just been hearing about. And I do have one of those here to tell you guys all about it. His name's Turod, and
G'day.
Hey, Rod.
I'll take it away, mate. We've been walking around the fair together, and
Oh, yeah.
this afternoon you had a really good result.
Just on the savings on one SKU, 30% reduction in cost. That one thing in the next 2 production runs will more than pay for our whole team's trip here to China Magic. And that excludes all the other price reductions we've been able to obtain.
Amazing, man. So what's the impact of that next year? If you were going to kind of forecast that forward roughly, what's the impact?
Well, we've got a few things on the boil. It could be unbelievably massive. As I say, one SKU will secure within the next 12 months, should easily pay for this trip twice over. And then with some of the other things we've got on the boil, if none of them come off and we just keep maintaining our current operations, it's about a 10 to 15% increase in profitability.
Well, nice. Yeah, from one visit to China. So Andrew, you see, now what else are you seeing across the board there, dude? Thank you for that, man. Rod, that's awesome.
For me, just being here with the students each day, as you know, it's just really great to see them start to come alive and get out to the fair each day and grow more comfortable and confident, you know, negotiating with the suppliers. So, yeah, it's been really good. And I do have someone else here that you may
Yeah, let's
recognise.
go. There you go.
Hey, hey, gorgeous.
Nice to see you. I've been working with Kimberly. So Kimberly's actually on a train back from her factory right now. Kimberly was really nervous about going out to factories, and I think she's actually gone to her 8th factory since we've been here. She's
Wow.
It's been busy.
She's a machine, but she's gained so much confidence and learnt so much. And she just texted us today and said for her new product, she just got the cost down from $8.65 to $4.70
Wow.
with really good terms. So she was $30.70. Now she's 0% deposit, and then she pays the 100% 60 days after shipping. So it's actually saved her $34,000 a year just for that one product. So she's a nurse who works long hours, and she thinks this will actually help her quit her job and be a full-time Amazon seller.
Yeah, there we go. Love that. Thank you for sharing that. That's amazing. So yeah, Lyden, we're seeing a bunch of these results coming through. I'd love to, if Kian's around still, I'd love to get kind of a quick fire rundown, if he's still there, of tips from Kian, and then Athena and I will kind of, there you go. So
Let's
yeah,
go.
Kian,
Tips from Kian. Let's go, Kian.
let's just go quick fire tips, kind of, if you could run down maybe your top 10 or your top 5 and put you in a bit on the spot here. But yeah, what are your tips for kind of sellers, private label brand owners, e-commerce founders kind of considering visiting China and kind of jumping into this kind of next level of sourcing?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a no-brainer because like anyone who's really serious about taking a brand to the next level, you can sort of see and hear the sort of results that we're achieving like here on the ground. And it's more so the suppliers which are here take you a lot more seriously as a buyer if you come here to China, right? Whereas like if you send an inquiry on Alibaba, well, probably 50 other companies are also sending those inquiries, and it's really hard and difficult for the supplier to determine what are the real inquiries and what are the fake ones to get free samples. But the fact that you're here and you can look them in the eye and you have that face-to-face interaction, you can build a relationship, you can invite them to the hotel, you can go for dinner together afterwards, you can let's say you have a specification sheet for your product and you can get prices from multiple manufacturers which are supplying the industry leaders that have all the right certification, and then get prices there and then, right? And they don't mess you around on the price because they know that you can talk to the other suppliers which are right next to them, so they offer you the real price from day one, so you can really really fast track your success. And you know, you heard a few of the wins right there, and a lot of them were like price focused, but we do have some guys which have had a lot of wins which have nothing to do with price. For example, we've got a guy called Octavio, and he was like, look, I'm happy with my price, I'm happy with my quality, I'm happy with my manufacturers, but my lead times are really long. So I went to the booth with him and we got his lead time down from 60 days down to 10 days. And I just did that in 5 minutes by asking two simple questions. What materials do you hold in stock, and when is your high season and when is your low season? Then using the materials that they hold in stock, we're able to get those lead times way down so he can replenish his stock much faster and not go out of stock. And then we got the sales assistant in the factory to phone the production engineer to verify that. We're like, cool, wrote the notes down, verified it, agreed it, so it's all done. So things like that, nothing to do with price, but things with like lead times, you can massively benefit on while you're here as well.
And Kian, if someone's considering kind of approaching their existing supplier and saying, hey, I'm going to come to China in April, I'm going to be visiting the Canton Fair, but I'd also love to come and visit you in the factory. What's your kind of advice and guidance for someone that's maybe never done that before, and how to approach that and how to think about that kind of engagement?
Honestly, just to have fun with it, right? Because these guys are here to like meet customers all around the world, and they really enjoy and value having different like customers. And it's like they're very, very hospitable. Like they want to take you out for dinner. They want to invite you to the factory. They organize the travel for you. And we have like 3 days in between phase 2 and phase 3 where those factory visits, myself, Lyden, and the team really help facilitate with that. And prior going to the factory, we go through like a walkthrough of the top things to do when you get to the factory, top questions to ask, and really having a plan with outcomes on your factory visits. So you don't just go there like a deer caught in headlights and you're like, all right, what goes on here? Like we give you actionable advice that you can apply on that visit to get the best results. And then something that's really, really cool is that some of the guys here have told their factories that they work with already that, hey, I'm coming to the Canton Fair. Suppliers get a little bit scared. They're like, oh no, they're going to see other factories which offer better prices. And then some people got automatic COGS reductions without even asking for it, just by saying that they're coming to the Canton Fair. So that's been really cool as well.
I love that. Kian, one thing I've spent time actually speaking with suppliers, watching you in action, bringing people through. The thing about this is the suppliers are looking for us as much as we're looking for them, right? And they're choosing who they want to work with. What would you consider to be some of the top factors of what a supplier is looking for in an actual Amazon seller?
Yeah, it's a great question. Like I always iterate the importance of having a long-term business with that supplier, because suppliers aren't looking for a customer who places an order one time and then moves to another supplier the next time. So I always say, look, I'm here to find a long-term partner. I'm here to have a win-win relationship. I'm here to do business together in partnership, right? And it's like Lyden mentioned, getting the credit terms. Well, while that works for you, it also works for the supplier, because then as a result of those credit terms, you're able to place more orders to that manufacturer faster, right? So they're, and also they like it when we come up with our own product ideas as well, because the supplier is thinking, well, this is a customer that's going to help improve my orders as well, because they've got new product ideas, which then they're going to place to me, and then they like that sort of innovation approach from your side as well. But they're just very, very happy to do business. They're very, very happy to see us here at the Canton Fair, and it's just been such an enjoyable experience so far.
Love it.
And just to add to that, just something else that I found really important, which I didn't realize that people didn't really do, is just asking your supplier, how can I be a better client? What can I do to take the load off of you? What can I do to be a better client for you? And some of those suppliers have been like, well, you're really pushing me on payment terms, as you know I do. But during our low season, we could really do with reducing those. And I'm like, that's absolutely fine, because our low season is normally their high season and vice versa. So during the summer, when we're trying to get our stock in ready for Q4, that's when the business is very cash intensive. We're trying to get all that in, all that stock in. So when we're trying to move into Q4, then we get the money back from those Q4 sales. During those times, we're able to shorten the terms and support them back. And that just makes that partnership rather than that transactional process, making it more of a partnership and supporting each other and not just it all being one-way traffic. So helping each other both ways is something else with that as well is providing a 12-month forecast rather than just springing orders on them. Something that's come back like stop just if you can let me know ahead of time, I can get your production times down. I can make sure we've got the raw material. I can negotiate better terms, better pricing with my raw material suppliers if I know what's coming down the line, rather than you just springing orders on me. So something that we do and we've been teaching other people to do is provide a 12-month forecast so they know what's coming in the future. There's no panic and trying to get in extra staff to get those orders done as an emergency.
Love it.
Yeah, and it's this sort of stuff. It's this sort of stuff like that we're teaching every night in the room, right? So, as our sellers are preparing to walk the floor in the fair, or as they're preparing to go visit their factories, every night, yourself, Kian, Mandy, Matt, you guys are all kind of training our sellers on how to approach this strategically, what forecast you need to have in place, the way to approach the negotiation, how to negotiate, how to anchor price, how to achieve all this, right?
Yeah, and I think the important thing is, like, and we always say this, and we just sort of do the orientation at the fair and right, go and have a go, right? And we're going to come back later on and gather some information, ask some questions. And I've sort of done orientation where I've been in and I haven't asked every question on the list. And it doesn't matter, because sometimes it's even better that you go back the following day, you send a message on WeChat that night, and you have various contact points with people over the days. You don't have to try and get everything perfect. Come back and say, actually, they respond when I asked this question, they responded with this. What does that mean? And we can help you change your game plan ready for the next day based on what feedback they're giving you live at the fair. So in the evenings, it's very important. Yes, we stand up on microphones, Kian, myself, and the other guys, and training, but it's very, very interactive, and there's a lot of time for Q&A and just live tackling those things that people have just experienced at the fair, and they really need the answer ready to go back to the fair and tackle it tomorrow. So it's just worked really, really well. Very, very interactive, live hurdles to get over, solved live in the evening, ready for the next day.
Well, it sounds like you guys have been absolutely killing it. So proud of everything that's been going on there. And it really is like, one thing I just want to put out there is that whole experience piece that you guys have, that you're able to kind of turn over to these guys so quickly. The value in that is incredible. And just seeing how much these guys are winning, it's although they've been going to China for 5, 10, 15 years already in just such a short time. So kudos to every single person there. You guys are amazing. Dan, I think we should talk about the trip, because the next one's going to be in April.
So just before you do that, I wanted to touch on one thing that we haven't really focused on, and it's speed of production. So getting your idea to a live product and the speed of time that you can shorten by being here live. I actually have Relmy here, and I know we've only got a couple of minutes here, but Relmy's really experienced quite a complex product. I've been trying to deal with people online, but live on the floor, and I'll let you explain the rest. Go ahead.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hey.
Hey, firstly, I want to say that the one-on-one time that we have had with all of the mentors has been absolutely phenomenal. I came in with a very complex product with many different pieces, and over the last 10 days, I've been able to almost like live prototype and live bounce ideas with all of the mentors, go back, cross-validate, speak to multiple factories, talk about the product, refine it over the last 10 days. I have been able to lower the MOQs for specific designs that I have actually changed from my original design when I started. And now I am ending with a completely different product, lower cost, lower MOQ for me to actually test out in the market. And I wouldn't have been able to do that without actually being here, because I actually sat down with multiple suppliers, napkin on the table.
I love that.
And actually redesign certain things with them. And not only do they get really excited because they can actually see you redesigning things to fit with their production process, they actually build an emotional connection with you, because they become almost like a partner in design with you. You're co-creating with them. And that is the most invaluable experience. I probably saved maybe like 6 to 12 months of thousands of WeChat messages with multiple suppliers. So for me, that has been the most valuable experience.
Amazing. What's your projection on that for next year then? Where do you want that kind of product to contribute next year in terms of kind of revenue and margin?
Well, I mean, it's 3 different products. And now with this new concept that I have, not only can I launch one, but I can actually launch 5 designs with a
Wow.
low MOQ, each of those 5 designs, which means that if I can test which one goes well, and the one that goes the best, I would produce more of. So I don't know if that answers your question, but they did give me specific pricing, lower pricing for each design, which is much better for me because I don't have to produce 1,000 of each one. I can only produce 200 of each one, and that works much better for me.
And how much
Keeping
how much are the competing products selling a month? How much in revenue are they making a month?
They range from 10 to 20,000 a month.
Nice, per product, right?
Yeah, and because the design is unique, it would essentially compete on the unique selling point of the design in comparison to the other competitors. So
Which is always the
potentially
best.
when you search for the product, my product will look different than the other competitors. So it has the potential to actually sell more because it's more of a premium product. So I can put, $4 or $5 more on it than all the other competitors because it's a different design.
There you go. That's product differentiation in true form. So yeah, I appreciate you coming on and sharing that. Lyden, I think we're going to jump over and actually share some information about April's trip, because in April we're going to be running China Magic 11, which is crazy, right? Our 11th trip.
It's insane. I love it.
All right, so I'll just leave you with this view, which you guys will be very accustomed with, but this is what we've been having every night. And then here's some of the mentors and guys here. We will say goodbye.
And Lyden, how's the hotel been? Just as a closing point, 5-star, 4 Seasons hotel. I miss that hotel. I need to go back to that hotel. How's it been?
The hotel's incredible, and there's a reason why we come here. The level of service is unreal. They book our flights for us. They book our trains for us. They make sure we get to the fair. The breakfast is incredible. We have dinner every night in the room. We have an amazing meeting room with that view, which is simply incredible, as you well know. And yeah, just the staff here are unbelievable and look after us very well. So actually a story about Jeremy as well. So he had a supplier, his bag supplier. He came over and he was messaging her, I'm going to be at Canton Fair. Do you want to come to the hotel and meet me? And she was a bit standoffish and wasn't really that bothered about his business. He sent a photo, and you might have seen it on my Instagram, Dan, I think you liked it, a photo of me and him sat in the exec lounge up here with the view behind it. All of a sudden messages started coming through on WeChat, and she was like saying, oh yeah, we're gonna host you and you should come down and see us. And then she was really interested about meeting him. So it's funny, that perception that people get. So it's very different in inviting, and people have been inviting their factories here all week and people that they meet at the fair. It's very different having a meeting in here or a crappy Airbnb around the corner. So it just shows that you're a serious business person and you're here and you're at a great hotel. And he went down to Shenzhen for the day for a lunch, and they had the national anthem playing when he was in. He had Australian flag and Chinese flag together, and they had gifts for him, and his name was up in lights. And a couple of days before they sent a photo of him in the exec lounge of this hotel, which they clearly recognized, they weren't that bothered about meeting him. So you've got to do things properly. You've got to show that you're a serious business person, and this hotel, believe it or not, really helps us with that.
Lyden, I totally remember that. They actually asked us, hey, so where are you staying? It was almost like a qualifier. You know what I mean? If you're like, oh, I'm at the Motel 6 down the street, they're like, okay, great, next.
I don't think you've ever been in a Motel 6, Athena.
I don't think I have.
So thanks, Lyden. I really appreciate you and the guys jumping on. Bye to everyone there in China. And yeah, look forward to seeing all the results coming through.
I'm going to run in the room next door so I can say goodbye to you. 1 second.
There, let's do it. It's Athena, it's nice seeing everything coming through, isn't it?
Oh my God, it brings me so much joy.
Hey, there we go.
I love you, so proud of you.
Awesome. 40 sellers there, killing it in China. Appreciate you, Lyden. We'll chat to you soon. So Athena, let's jump on and talk about China Magic, right? So yeah, this is China Magic 10. We've got China Magic 11 coming up in April. We've got 40 sellers right now. They're out there in China. In April this year, 2024, we had 50. We've had as high as 100 sellers come out with us before. But let's go through and talk about the details of China. I think what's really clear to me and what we've learned in our own operating, so we're at $50 million a year, US dollars a year of owned and operated Amazon revenue. We operate over 100 million in our partner brands. And whereas success on Amazon used to be in the selling, That's really sophisticated now, right? Especially if you're following the Titan way and using the Titan operating system. We've figured the selling out. What really sets apart the 7 and 8 figures, the ones that are winning in today's market, the current market, is their ability to buy product, right? And we have the purview of thousands of sellers. And the one thing that really remains true is success on Amazon is won or lost in the buying, not the selling. In a market that's very price sensitive, where competitors are coming in direct from China and squeezing price in a category, and really your margin, especially with all the Amazon fees coming through, is everything. Because if you don't have the margin, we call it CM3, contribution margin, or CM2, you don't have the ability to compete in paid advertising, drive rank, and ultimately profit on the platform, right?
That's right.
And this is something you get a lot on the calls.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a dirty little secret that, people like to be pompous about their revenue. Like, oh, I'm doing, 10 million. That's great. What is the cash flow? What's actually in the bank? Where's the actual profit? How quickly are you able to scale? And how nimble are you in today's market? And all of that is exactly what you're saying. And it's funny because I was just at a conference in New York, and there's a guy up there who's built $1 billion brand. And he was saying that without really understanding this concept, he was broke, even though his brand had completely blown up. So what we want is sustainable, repeatable growth. And you're right, it's all in this. It's about to go down. We're going to talk about China Magic in April.
Yeah, for sure. So with all this, there's 3 levels to product sourcing, right? There's level 1, which is online. We can use Alibaba, we can use WeChat, we can connect with suppliers. But as Kian just told you, and as Lyden just explained there, it's such a surface level, transactional level of relationship that just doesn't cut it in today's marketplace. You have to get in person. You have to understand the culture, which is something we haven't talked too much about, but the culture is a big component of this, the relationship. And that's done at trade shows and factory visits. And the best way to do this is by going and visiting China. So Canton Fair is the world's largest exhibitor hall for every single category you can think of, and we're going to talk about that in a second. And then visiting your existing factories, and even sometimes new factories that you've pre-connected with, is the fastest route to achieving those competitive landed costs, those competitive COGS, and also those payment terms that just give you such an advantage in the cash flow of your business against your competitors, that frees up more cash to place larger orders, compound growth faster, expand into new product lines because you've got the additional cash, or just invest into growth, into European expansion, or into wider advertising placements, more aggressive advertising, or just be able to be the most competitive price on the page. All of this is how you win on the platform, but you can't do it unless you've achieved it in the buying in China, and you do that at trade shows and factory visits. So Athena, China Magic 11 is running April 23rd through May 4th. It's a 12-day trip. And I just want to quickly run through a quick bit of information around the Canton Fair, the China Magic trip, and then I'm going to get down to a very special offer that's a super, super early bird offer for the first 20 spots that take it. So if you're interested in really kind of supercharging your business and brand, and you want to kind of level up to that next layer of competing and that next layer of operating, stick around. We're going to spend about 20 minutes or so, and we're going to go through that information here at the end. So did you know that the Canton Fair boasts 16 indoor halls and has 3 main areas, A, B, and C? It's the largest in Asia and I believe the world. And the total construction covers 1.1 million square meters. There's 338,000 square meters of indoor exhibitor space, 43,000 square meters dedicated to just outdoor displays alone. And recently there's been a major expansion, actually. They're calling it Area D, which has added another 560,000 square meters, making the whole thing over 1.6 million, and introduced 6,000 new booths, 6,000 new suppliers. And this year, in October, Canton Fair, October 2024, 29,000 suppliers exhibited at the Canton Fair. 29,000, and they're paying a pretty penny, right? So they're serious about finding business.
Oh yeah. When I go in April, I cannot wait for that one section, because I remember going to some of the exhibitors and they had materials that hadn't been out yet. You know what I mean? Like they had design abilities, and I remember a lot of eco-friendly type products and things, like a leather that was made, like just all these interesting things. And so you can go in there and find an entire brand that you weren't even thinking with, and that's part of the magic of being there live in person.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. So with that, if this all There you go. Let's go. There you go. So there are 2 phases that we go to. There's actually 3 phases to the fair. There's phase 1, phase 2, and phase 3. We can help you go to phase 1 if you're more into electronics, which is where phase 1 lives. But predominantly we focus on phase 2 and phase 3. And I'm just going to quickly show all of these categories. I won't read them all out, but every major category that you are possibly sourcing for to sell on Amazon, and not just Amazon, guys. We're expanding into TikTok. We're expanding into Shopify. We're already at a multi-6-figure, almost 7-figure run rate per month on TikTok across our brands. We've got a whole thing figured out there as well. But wherever you're sourcing physical products for, from home and kitchen to outdoor sports, baby, pet products, everything you can possibly think of is covered across Canton Fair in those 3 phases. So the timeline of the trip, it kicks off on April 23rd. You arrive in Guangzhou in China for phase 2 of the Canton Fair. You're going to be navigating phase 2 until from the 23rd through to the 28th. On April 28th, phase 2 closes down, and we've got a 2 or 3 day break where you're going to arrange visits to your existing factories. You may even go visit some new factories, and that's where you're really working on the existing COGS, pricing terms, and deepening that relationship with the supplier. You're going there prepared because Lyden and Kian and the team have shown you how to forecast and prepare the proper presentation. We can help you with translators as well to go and achieve those massively hard-hitting results like you just heard here, up to 6 figures of growth in the business. When our team went in April, we affected $2.5 million of cash flow in about 14 factory visits across the team in these 3 days. We're then back for May 1st, which is opening phase 3, and you've got until May 4th to navigate phase 3, and then we fly home on the 4th. Now, it is actually running till the 5th, and if you want to stay a bit longer, you can do, but we typically run until May 4th. And the whole time, you're visiting the factories and you're visiting the fair in the day, and then we're coming back to the hotel, which is the 4 Seasons, as we'll learn about here in a second, enjoying that comfort environment, good food, which is something that's quite hard to come by in that area, and we're masterminding every night. Now, Athena, this is something I know you're very passionate about. And
Yes.
that's the red carpet treatment, right? Navigating this stuff can be difficult. So let's just very quickly talk about kind of how we're helping our sellers and our members kind of navigate getting booked on the trip.
Yeah, and it starts from day 1. It's about getting the visa properly, right? And depending on what country you're in, there's different things that you need. So we have Kirsty, who literally concierges you from the very beginning. I love the fact that we arrange the group flight. We get you picked up from the airport. You're not arriving there trying to find a taxi in Chinese. Like, every single detail has already been taken care of for you because you guys are professional business people. You don't need to be fussing about trying to figure out how to get to a hotel or how to get transportation. It's going to waste a lot of your time. So we take all those distractions away from you and we focus you on what really matters. And every minute, like even just arriving with a group of people, it just really makes this trip very memorable, very special. And the masterminding begins at the airport, which is really cool.
And Kirsty's absolutely amazing. She's been running this trip for a few years now on the logistics side. She helps arrange all the transports, the factories, the flights, the trains, the visas, everything you could possibly need to navigate this and get there on the ground.
Yes.
Kirsty is the right hand, right?
Sorry. And also when it comes to the 4 Seasons, these guys have been working with us for 7 years. So they know when we want to eat, they know what we want to eat, they know all of it. And it's just so magical to walk into that. Sorry, go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, no, it really is. So as Athena says, we organize group flights from the UK, from America, from Australia now, because we've got a good number of Australians joining us on the trip. So there's group flights that you can connect with and make the entire journey. We're in the 4 Seasons. This has been rated #1 business hotel in the world in consecutive years, many years over. It is stunning. The location is perfect. They call it the hotel in the clouds because the lobby starts on the 80th floor of this building. And yeah, as I said, you're visiting Canton Phase 2, April 23rd through the 27th. And Athena, I think it's really important at this point to kind of answer that question of, well, why would I stay here when I can stay at the Motel 6 equivalent down the road? And in terms of like comfort, mindset, food, just everything that puts you in prime position to win in the actual role of being in the business, right?
Absolutely. And also think about like on the daily, when you're able to get to a place like this, like look at that spa, look at the jacuzzi, look at the sauna, the fitness area, like it's incredible. The food quality is fantastic. And I know I've touched upon the food quality a few times. I got really sick the first time I went to China, just to be completely honest. And I was staying at a quote unquote 5-star hotel. So in China, you want the very best. These guys import food. The head chef is Italian. They really know what they're doing, and they just provide the best possible environment for us.
Yeah, and because of the long-standing relationship, the group rates, we're able to access the hotel at a heavily discounted rate. And if you went elsewhere, you'd end up paying maybe even a bit more when you add in the food and the coffee and everything that you get included than what you pay to access the Four Seasons. And it's just a complete no-brainer, right?
And also one thing that we love to do since the beginning of time is we actually roommate it up. So if you do want to save on costs and you want to have sort of like a teammate, you can actually share a room, and it's less than you'd be paying at a much lower class hotel. So that works out really well as well. That's the iconic breakfast, by the way. You walk into this place and it's just incredible. All of the people are there. You guys are having conversation, energy starting from that moment. And I remember walking in one time, and I think I was with Samantha and Alicia, and I was like, gosh, this is a dream. I wish this was my real life. And they looked at me like, this is your real life.
Amazing.
I absolutely love that place. It's so amazing.
So you got the breakfast, you got spa mornings, and then after the fair each day, we're coming back and we've got these dedicated rooms where we're having dinner. The drinks are included as well. So you get breakfast and dinner included. And typically what members will do is just take a bit of breakfast in a doggy bag for lunch at the fair, or they'll just have a decent breakfast so they don't have lunch. They come back and have dinner. And then we're masterminding for 3 or 4 hours a night. And as Lyden said, this isn't just presentations. It's not just stage talk of some guru at the front of the room kind of showing the one thing they once did. It's really interactive coaching. So you come back with the results that or the information that you've discovered at the fair that day. And you've got some of the most experienced guys that are doing this at a serious level. I think Kian's visited like 35 Canton fairs or something stupid and like 200 factories. I think Lyden's not far behind him on the factory visits at this point. And they're working that problem, or they're working that opportunity with you in real time. And then you're going back the next day armed with the negotiation strategy, the numbers, the presentation, everything you need to get 6 to 12 months of work done in one conversation, to be honest, at a level that you would never achieve on your own. Because one thing is true in life, that 1 + 1 = 3 when you've got the right minds around you, and no one's ever going to be smarter than putting more heads in the room working the same solution from a qualified position. So phase 2 is April 23rd through to the 27th, and this is what the floor, like the halls look like, right? So it's very clean, it's very professional. All the booths now have English speaking representatives. They never used to, actually, when we first started going, but now they do. It's very westernized in that sense, and it's very professional. So here's a picture of Athena and the guys looking at some Teddy products by the look of it there. You can see, I think they're in the baby section, and we're walking around as a group as well, so you can veer off on your own, but when you have this group presence, you just have a much more kind of credibility about you when you're entering the booth. They take you a bit more seriously, right?
We actually have a reputation that we've built over the last many years, and they know that if you're with China Magic, you're a professional, you're someone they want to work with. It's actually become a thing, which I'm really excited for.
Yeah. And then between phase 2 and phase 3, like I said, you're visiting your factories. So this was actually a picture of Lyden visiting one of our factories, and really getting to know the factory owners, the managers, the representatives, building a relationship. You can see there on the left, that's one of our suppliers, actually. And I think that's Lyden receiving flowers. We normally take gifts as well, depending on which part of China it is and who they are. And you learn all that kind of cultural knowledge on the trip as well. We'll prep you before the trip so you come prepared.
Yeah, and the difference between going there and just having sort of a dry, oh, nice to meet you, let's talk about cogs, versus this is night and day. And guanxi is a word that they use for relationships, and that's something that is so important in their culture. And when you really build that, they'll do anything for you. They'll move mountains for you because you are their family. And that's one of the things that we really like to create on, and we teach you when we're in China.
Yeah, for sure. So phase 3 is then May 1st through the 4th. It actually runs to the 5th if you want to stay the extra day. But generally the 1st through the 4th is more than enough time to get the sourcing and find the products and kind of meet your existing suppliers in that phase. And as I said, there's a whole list available on ChinaMagicTrip.com. You can go learn about a lot more detail about the trip. You can kind of see it in person. There's lots of photos and videos on there, and it has the full lists of product categories involved. But I think one of the key things, Athena, and we'll touch on this very lightly, and then we'll kind of get down to the details here and wrap up, but is the lasting friendships and business relationships, right? Some of the biggest names in the industry you see today have been on China Magic in the past. Some of the biggest sellers started with China Magic. Kind of just talk about that very quickly and kind of what that means kind of in the ongoing impact of the trip.
Yeah, I mean, you're in a foreign country for 10 days with people. You build these relationships that are unbreakable. Most of the leadership of Titan actually met in China Magic. And it's just a really special environment to foster those lifelong relationships, which you can never put a value on. Because I was actually, again, I was at this event in New York and I saw some of the original members of our first China Magic who are now on stage, who are some of the biggest names that in our industry, and they're still friends, they're still connected. And all of that started 7 years ago while being in China Magic.
Yeah, for sure. And really it comes down to hanging with people who have the goals just as big as you do, right? And really going after that exponential growth. Sure,
Yeah.
you can go onto Alibaba. So you can follow the Titan operating system or some other system and find a validated product that's viable. You can go to Alibaba, you can attempt to start sourcing, but you're not going to come in at the price you need to be to competitive. It's not going to be the quality that you necessarily want, which then shows up in your reviews. And you end up just being an average seller with average products on the platform, right? The reason that our Titan members and our China Magic members really succeed on the platform is we just go so much deeper into the operating, but so much deeper into this side in the buying, in meeting factory owners, building relationships, finding out, being ahead of the curve, negotiating the best possible prices that's a win-win for both of us, the factory owner and us as the buyer, negotiating those terms that help us place larger orders and compound that growth so we're not constantly running into cash flow challenges. Everything you've heard about here, this is the level where success lives. And I say that from 10 years of operating these brands into what is now tens and tens of millions of dollars. We wouldn't be able to do what we do if we didn't send our entire team out to China twice a year on the trip. So
That's right.
I want to quickly cover kind of who it's for, right? So we know it's for serious sellers. We're not interested in people that are kind of looking for get rich quick or a quick transaction or want to take advantage of suppliers. Maybe sellers that have started, they're active, they're revenue generating, but they're looking for that kind of one thing to unlock that next kind of stage of growth. If you're wanting to level up, maybe you're kind of that mid 7 figures and you've been struggling to break the 8-figure mark. Fastest route to it is going to China. Or sellers looking to find more profit in existing products. One of the biggest constraints in today's market is the pricing pressure of competition. And he or she who has the most margin and it has the biggest ability to acquire customers is going to win. And how you do that is in the buying. You create more margin in the buying to allow you to compete more in the selling. So if you're in that position, the fastest thing you can do is get yourself to China to achieve that result. Brands looking to level up their sourcing and their product development. You cannot just buy and badge products off Alibaba and win on Amazon anymore. You have to be developing differentiated products from the ground up, real quality products that solves real problems and stand out visually on the platform for a very specific avatar. Again, you can attempt this stuff virtually, but you're not going to compete with the likes of us and our Titan members and our China Magic members who really understand what it means to go to China and do this in person. And if you want to source winning products faster and cheaper than could ever be done, you've heard the stories, 6-12 months of progression in a single day. Again, time to value, time to market in this game is everything, speed to market. And the reason that you're falling behind your competitors is because they're just simply beating you. They're better than you. How do you level up and become better than them? You go to China, but you don't go to China just for the sake of it. You don't go to China alone. You go to China with those around you that can show you 10, 50, 100 years worth of combined experience in executing the strategies that win. And then people who want hands-on support by world-leading experts. I'm the type of guy that likes to go find someone who's already achieved the result. I like to pay them and for them to teach me how they achieve the result. It's the shortest path of least resistance to achieving that goal versus figuring it all out, right?
Yeah. So Dan, one of the most interesting things that I've seen is some of the most successful people in the world, the Elon Musks of the world, the Tony Robbins of the world, the people who are really at the Richard Bransons of the world, they have very high EQ. They value the superpowers and the abilities of unique human beings, right? And so they leverage that, and the skills that these guys have developed, Kian, Lyden, etc., is unreal. And I've met, 9-figure sellers that sit down with Kian and get their minds absolutely blown. And so if you want to be in the room with the savants of this subject, then you need to be at the very best possible sourcing trip that exists, and that is China Magic.
Yeah, for sure. And it's also the peer-to-peer, right? So for larger
Yeah.
sellers, you stick 5 or 10 kind of 8-figure sellers together working an opportunity or a problem or a challenge. And trust me, you're going to get to a better result faster just by putting those heads together. And that's also the beautiful thing. And whilst we keep talking about Kian and Lyden, I also want to shout out Rachel, Lois, and everyone else on our team, Matt, Luke, and Andrew and Mandy, everyone who goes to China Magic from our own business and our own product team. Rachel comes from a background of ASOS. Lois comes from the equivalent of Macy's. We have like corporate, institutional, 20+ year career people in the business, bringing that level of expertise into that process.
100%.
So I'm going to fly through some of these questions, and then we're going to drop down to what the fast action bonus and offer is today. And then any questions, I'll give you some information on how to get those answered as well. So am I too early in my journey? So it's okay if you don't have a product, but you must have completed training so that you understand the business and have a good understanding of the process and the marketing required to be successful. China Magic is not for you if you're watching this thinking, I want to start an Amazon business. You need to, there's an earlier stage that you need to complete before you join us on China Magic. And you should ideally have a background in e-commerce and or have a background in business in general and understands what it means to build and run and operate a business and the roller coaster that comes with it. And you must also come prepared with a plan ahead of time. We will work with you to get there before the trip, but we won't allow you to attend if you don't have a plan in place and no product yet. So if you're watching this and you're thinking, I'm just at the start of my journey, if you work your ass off for the next 6 months between now and April, you go through maybe our Titan Genesis program, you research and find validated products that validate the Titan way, you work with our guys and do some preliminary research on suppliers, and you understand what it means budget-wise, etc., then you are welcome to join us on China Magic. Okay, will this help me as an advanced seller? And this is kind of all the 40 sellers that are there right now, I'd say 38 of them are multi-7-figure. So absolutely, you're going to be surrounded by 7- and 8-figure sellers. We break out every night. Oh, I'm getting quite a bit of echo from your thing. I'm just going to mute you out. So we break out into different mastermind groups every single night, sorted by level. We have some of the best minds in the industry. No matter where you're at, there's going to be someone ahead of you. We just recently ran a mastermind in San Diego, different to China, but we had a friend doing 12 million a month. We're currently at about $4 million a month run rate, ending up for about 50 million for the end of the year, and there's everything in between. So again, if you believe you're the smartest person in the room, you're obviously you're either in the wrong room or you've got an ego problem and you're not running the business right. One of the two statements are true. So there's always someone ahead of you on the trip. And sourcing is a different skill to marketing. Like when we started out, I'm very good at the marketing side of Amazon, very good at the selling side of Amazon. I had to learn the sourcing, the buying side of Amazon. And it was through China Magic and through kind of building a team that we were able to become one of the best in the world at this stuff, specifically for the Amazon business. And the higher volume you're doing, the bigger the results, the faster the ROI. You'll hear some of one of the results there who's multi-7-figure seller. One conversation, one COGS reductions, $50,000 or $60,000 next year in 2025. So depending on where you're at, each action has a higher ROI, and $1 saved could result in $100,000 of additional profit in your business, better payment terms, allowing you to be more aggressive, and all the benefits that you've heard of. So I've been to the Canton Fair before. Why should I go to China Magic? And this one's really simple. It's yes, you've started to gain that experience, and that's amazing, but you're never going to beat the combined brain power of everyone in that room. Not only our mentors who are real life operators in this business, and our team, but also the peers, the other sellers, the fellow sellers in that room, 12 days together in an intimate mastermind environment, visiting the fair together and kind of navigating that. Have you been to 50 Canton fairs? Have you been to over 250 factories? Of course not. And it's that combined brain power that's doing it. One win in sourcing or one win in the mastermind pays the trip 10 times over, as you just heard there. And it's not just about being in China. It's about that real-time execution. The difference could be 6 figures. So you might go and attempt something just like Brady tried to with his factory and maybe not achieve the result that you were looking for. And then you come back, revisit it with Lyden, Kian, Matt, Luke, Rachel, Lois, some of our mentors, or maybe a fellow Titan or China Magic member and seller. And then you go back the next day, approach the negotiation from a different angle, like Brady and Lyden were able to do with good cop, bad cop. And the difference is 6 figures over the course of the next few years in a single SKU. So this really all comes down to kind of one thing, and that is that saving a little by going alone and not paying the trip fee and maybe staying in the kind of Motel 6 equivalent could cost you a lot later down the line of unrealized opportunity. Now, when we talk about costs, and I think I'm going to just bring you back there. When we talk about cost, oh, it's really, really okay there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I'll mute and unmute. It's good.
Okay, good. So the full China Magic trip is $6,000. It's about $500 in flights, depending on when you book them. And then there's about $185 plus tax for 11 nights, which actually, yeah, about $185 to $250, depending on the room type, etc. that you book. And then very little spending money needed, as breakfast and dinner is covered for 95% of the trip.
Yeah, and that price is for shared accommodations, so that would be per person if it's a double room.
Yeah, exactly. And I think with everything in, it jumps to, it's about $250 all in, just to be completely transparent. It's about $250 a night all in for the kind of shared room type. And then the majority of travel are covered, but you need to get a few taxis here and there. But as Lyden said, we arrange the transport to the fair. We help arrange other transports as well. Breakfast, dinner's included, so you're not really spending a lot at the fair. And there are payment plans available to help with cash flow. We understand that. Now, this is a big one, Athena. I can just go to the China on my own, right? And the answer to this is that saving a little now can cost a lot later. Again, you going alone is amazing, but you're approaching that conversation, that negotiation. One of the members there just talked about they've been trying to find a product. They couldn't find the supplier. They went to Kian. Kian walked them to the booth, negotiated, and they can make the product from scratch. And that was something that member had been trying to do for a long time, or Brady. There's just so many examples of this where 1 + 1 = 3 when you combine the brain power and all the experience in the room. So yeah, sure, you might save a few $1,000s by going on your own, but what's it costing you? What's it costing you in growth? What's it costing you in margin? What's it costing you in profit by doing that over the course of the next year? And I think there's nothing else that really needs to be said. And as Brady found out, he tried for years to get better payment terms by visiting his factories and dining with the owner, but ultimately failed to get what he wanted, right? And then they went back at it, him and Lyden, with the kind of, this is my partner, and was able to get 30% deposit, 70% due 60 days after shipping, with the options for 70 days with a slight increase, which in the off season you might do, but it was able to achieve these really flexible payment terms by just combining the brain power and the experience of the mentors and the sellers in the room and reapproaching that negotiation. Now, we do know, and we're very aware, that since China Magic started and we kind of been running this China Magic 11th trip, there are other trips available that are cheaper. But again, the same applies. Saving a little now can cost a lot later. China Magic has the most experienced operators and mentors. We've run the most trips. We've taken the most sellers to China to help negotiate at the Canton Fair and their factory visits and find new suppliers. And ultimately, we've generated the most results, not only in our members, but also our own $50 million owned and operated portfolio that we send 5 or 6 people from our own team twice a year to go execute. No one comes close to the level of results and wins and ultimately outcomes that we're able to produce on China, because the combination of 1, the format, 2, the experience, and 3, the amazing team operators and mentors that go on the trip. So again, if you want to save a couple grand, sure, go elsewhere. But what is that costing you in growth? What is that costing you in opportunity moving forward? Now, Athena, I fundamentally believe this and know this to be true. The only shortcut in building a private label brand on Amazon and growing into multiple millions of dollars with a healthy margin is visiting China. It's the only real true shortcut that exists. Nothing else scales. All the hacks that you see online in the Facebook groups and on YouTube channels, none of that shit scales. But going to China is the one true hack that is the shortcut to success. So when you join China Magic, you're getting 8 days of expert sourcing at $3,000 value, 12 days of real-time masterminding at $10,000 value. There's masterminds that charge 25 grand a year and cover a lot less than what we do in China. You get planned factory visits to your own factories, another $500 of value. You get the pre-trip coaching and visa concierge, another $500 in value. You're going to get access to really advanced training on product development, validation, differentiation, sourcing, negotiation, all within the China Magic members area before going on the trip. At least another $1,000 value. To be honest, that should be more like $10,000 of value. And you get access to the private members area, which is priceless, because not only can you access that, your team can access that, and you get access to the community moving forward. So the total value of China Magic is $15,000. But the price of China Magic is not $15,000. We've been able to run the trip now and kind of work on the efficiency of cost and really dial in everything that goes into China Magic. And you can join China Magic for a one-time fee of $6,000. Now, we do have an early bird offer, and that early bird offer is $5,000. But we know how impactful this trip is. It's not our first rodeo. This is our 11th China Magic trip. The results honestly speak for themselves at this point. We've honed in every aspect of navigating the Chinese culture, the negotiation, how to find suppliers. We combine that with our wildly proven operating processes and systems in the Titan way for growth and profit, amongst industry leading processes. And we just know what this does for people's lives, for people's businesses, and the whole reason why they started in the first place, right? And Athena and I have been in this very fortunate position now for a number of years where we get to be a part of that journey and we get to witness those outcomes. And I think I know something that's very close to your heart in terms of really understanding what this business is able to do for people and what that result looks like. And look, it's not as easy as it used to be, but it's the biggest opportunity than ever because there is a higher level to entry. There is a higher barrier to entry, and we navigate that, right? And
yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the faces there. There's some of these people who built, $10 million brands from what they found in China. One guy, $80 million brand. Andrew's in there, who's now one of our top leaders. There's just so much that's happened from these trips that is like invaluable. You cannot put a price tag on it, and the friendships. And I mean, it makes me want to cry. It's so beautiful. So yeah.
And I'm also
told right off. We don't have an accountant, blah, blah, blah. But from
that's not financial advice, just being really clear.
Yeah. But
it's,
it is a business expense for sure for most people. So check with your accountant. And this is the gorgeous Four Seasons. It's going to treat you right. You're going to learn so much. You're going to be there with the very best, and you're going to be finding products and things that are going to create your future. And the whole thing of all of this, really, when it comes down to it, is building a business that feeds your soul, that feeds your lifestyle and your future. And that's done in such a short, condensed amount of time when you're in China. But the end result for me is being able to live that life with intention.
Yeah, for sure. And for my bigger sellers, which most of the trip is, this is the fastest route to kind of increasing those margins and coming up against that Chinese selling pressure and everything that we're experiencing on the platform today. China Magic's the answer to all of it.
Well, and it's so funny because when we talk about freedom and stuff, the biggest sellers I speak to, the guys who are already, doing even multi-8 figures, that's why they started their business, was to create that life freedom, right? When you have things in line and the profitability of the business is correct, as we know, the stress level comes way down. You're able to really scale in a much better way. And that's why I think for even the most advanced sellers, this trip creates so much for them in terms of their peace of mind, what keeps them up at night, and their future.
Yeah, 100%. So I'm very pleased to say that after all of this, there is a live fast action bonus available today. So you're not paying $6,000, you're not paying $5,000 for the first 20 spots, the first 20. And we have hundreds of sellers on the wait list for April's trip. And it is first come, first serve. For the first 20 spots, it's $4,000. So you can join China Magic April 2025 for $4,000 and take part in what is an epic 12-day product sourcing and Amazon mastermind trip that's created so much success at this point. 7 years running. It's our 11th trip. Every single trip, the results just get bigger and better, more refined. You learn the entire kind of sourcing, product development, negotiation process with all of the support, mentorship, and access that you need to make six-figure results happen in a single conversation. It's a $2,000 saving on the price of China Magic. And how you get access to that is by going to chinamagictrip.com/apply. And just to be super clear, it's for the first 20 only, because this isn't actually a sustainable price that we can run the trip at. But we really want to incentivize those that take action and join the trip today. So first 20 spots only. Go to chinamagictrip.com/apply. It's a super early bird discount, super being the key word there, $2,000 saving, and it is first come, first serve. Now, if you do have questions, when you go to chinamagictrip.com/apply, You're going to go through a very quick survey. It's only a few questions, just qualify and make sure we're a good fit for each other. And then you're going to be presented with a scheduler to book a call. So this isn't some offer where we're just saying, hey, go put your credit card in on an order form. We want to get to know you. You need to get to know us. We really want to make sure and make this is a good fit for you and your business, and we can actually help you grow, because it doesn't serve us to just sell tickets for this event and have people on the trip that aren't going to get anything out of it, because China Magic's reputation and results wouldn't be where it is 7 years in, 11 trips in, if we didn't qualify the sellers coming on the trip and ensuring that every single seller in the room should be there and can contribute something to the trip as well as gain something from the trip. And that's what creates the magic of the mastermind in the room and the peer-to-peer masterminding that takes place for 12 days. So it's a quick conversation with Athena and her team to understand kind of where you're at, what your business goals are, where you want to get to, what are your current constraints, the products that the categories that you sell in, and the goals that you've got for those. And we will really kind of talk you through what it means to join the trip, and we'll set out those goals for you, and you can join the trip for $4,000 for the first 20 spots only. And then it's just your flights, another $500. The room will come in at about $250 a night for a shared room. And then it's just a small cost for your visa, but breakfast and dinner and drinks are included in the trips. There's very little spending money beyond that. And that's ChinaMagicTrip.com/apply. And then any questions you've got, we're more than happy to answer them. If you're just curious, book a call. We can answer those questions and see if it's a good fit for each other.
Yes.
Athena, any closing thoughts?
No, I'm excited. I'm going to be there in April. I'm really, really excited. I can't wait to connect with all of you. Go ahead and book a call, and we'll chat. We'll talk about it. We'll see if it's the right fit for you. And thank you to everyone involved, to all the mentors, to the leadership, absolutely everyone. This is really a dream. So thank you guys.
Awesome. And we'll see you April 2025 for China Magic 11, which is just crazy. It's crazy that we're so long into this now, but there's so much wealth, so much knowledge there. And if you're serious about growing profitably, and maybe you were profitable, now you're not, maybe you were a big seller and now you've lost a bit of traction, or you're at a few 6 figures and you want to kind of fast track your way into a few 7 figures, going to China with China Magic is the path for you. And it's the shortest path of least resistance to achieving that goal. But other than that, Athena, we're going to wrap up. We're going to say goodbye.
Thanks, guys.